Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the whole podcast magazine. There we go. So, as you can tell, we're already a bunch of drunk conservatives.
Yep.
And
Drunk conservatives.
I'm gonna hand it over to Brandon for the whole magazine podcast.
Drunk conservatives with their fellow classical libertarian fellow as well.
Are you libertarian?
I would like to.
Do you think the government should ban machine guns?
No.
I have placed him as a classical libertarian.
I don't think he's a libertarian.
I don't know.
He has a lot of
What the fuck is a classical libertarian?
He has Bill Maher.
I don't think that's the right definition.
Bill Maher is
Anyway.
very much classical libertarian.
Do the introductions.
Anyway, hello everyone and welcome to episode 45 of the whole magazine.
The whole podcast.
So, yeah, the whole podcast according to Walker here. And you've heard him and you know him already. Walker, how are you?
Hello.
Yeah.
I'm doing fine.
It's great to
Except
have
for
you.
the fact that Brandon's wife came in
Yeah.
here with coffee and cream and poured it all over my pants.
You smacked my face with a towel. Shut the fuck
I
up.
did smack your face with a towel.
I do not. That was something that happened. I do not claim responsibility of anything that has happened. In
Fuck
this
you,
office.
Walker.
No amount of violence is condoned.
We have
I
Oscar.
could put you over the border.
Hello.
How are you doing, buddy?
I'm doing well. I've seen better days, but definitely beats,
Well, I tell you what,
Everything
I am
else.
glad you're here right now because we have. You've seen the docket. We have an interesting docket today.
we have a very interesting docket
and we're
today.
joined by
Daniel.
Cedillo.
our favorite Mexican Texan.
I was analyzing what he wanted to be called.
He wanted to be called Daniel.
Yeah, Daniel. Daniel's fine.
I'm calling you
I'll go and
Daniel-san.
I'll bleep your last name for you.
Daniel-san.
It's not
I
like
mean,
he's been in 5 episodes
Daniel
already with
San.
his last
It's
name
fine.
available.
Yeah, I know.
Daniel-san.
Last
the
and first and my
His
my
social security
the fuck
is
up. No, okay.
420-69-1337.
That's
Blaze it.
way fucking off. Anyways,
That's because it was meme
so
numbers.
okay,
So how
Okay.
are you doing? Daniel, how are you doing?
there is nothing for me to complain about, and I'm happy for that.
That's good. Well, I'm glad to have you all on the podcast
thank
today for
you.
episode 45. Just before we get into our normal alcohol review, we have some things to discuss, folks. Hey, if you guys are not following thewholemagazine.com, I highly recommend you do so. You want to come around and pour some love?
I got it.
Please don't pour it on my pants this time.
For context, Eve has
Thank you,
brought
honey.
coffee.
Thank you. We have thewholemagazine.com. Sorry, thewholemag.com. Available for your browsing pleasure. We have a bunch of articles on there. We also have a merch shop where you can get some phenomenal posters, frame posters, as well as brushed aluminum posters.
I took a little
Grassy
gander at the
ass.
store because I took a look at the website because I realized that as many times as I've been in this podcast already, I've not viewed your website. So I got on there just to take a gander.
Yeah, it's
As an individual,
you put it in your jacket.
what he put one in his jacket.
He put the audio line in his jacket. That's amazing.
But yeah, as an individual who has just now seen the website, right?
Good.
I can tell you, if you are someone who is looking and to be interested into browsing through the website, you will be happy to know that it is very informative, and you clearly have done your research.
Yes. I do try,
Or at least pretended to.
I do try to put on the facade of understanding the things I'm talking about. But we talk about a multitude of different things.
These are all unqualified opinions from 20-somethings.
I do also tell where I'm getting the information as well. So there's complete
Yeah.
transparency, at least for the articles I write. If you guys see an article written by Brandon Cox, that is the articles.
You got to
I'm talking
fact
about.
check him, though, like that one episode where you were like straight up trying to talk about fake shit.
No. I mentioned them. That was the whole point of talking about them on the show. You androgynous douchey cunt.
I don't think
Anyway.
androgynous is the right word here.
I'm choosing it. It's fine. No, but yeah, if you guys are not aware, we have a merch shop up and ready to go. You can grab yourself some frame posters. Mugs are now available on, actually, folks. Hey, folks, guess what? We have the official Whole Magazine mugs coming on the 20th. Yeah,
Ooh.
that's right.
Oh yeah, more
that-
John.
That we'll be able to drink from.
What was the shit?
I was gonna wait till after the show to bring it up.
Okay,
Yes.
I think I already told. Did I already
We're
tell
doing
you?
the alcohol thing.
Not
Okay.
yet. Hang on.
Okay.
But yeah,
It's
please
the first thing on the script.
please do check out the website. You can also catch the episode reviews if you guys want to. Those are actually really good if you guys want to get a brief synopsis of the episode and important notes about it. So I highly recommend it. But now, On
Do the
to
engineered
the
sound.
lovely and most beloved part of the show, the alcohol review. Take it away, Walker.
He recorded that in a kitchen that was only half a mile away from that viral video of the people called the Kia Boys stealing from the parking lot of Safeway.
Thanks.
Anyway, we're doing a whiskey that I think we've done before, but he says we haven't, but, whatever.
Isaac likes to pride himself as
It's-
the memory
it's
of
his-
an elephant.
I don't think I do, but
Whatever it is, it's still new to me.
I'm pretty sure we've done this. At least I've drank at least 3
Well,
bottles
it's
of this.
definitely going to be new to the people on the podcast with us.
Basil
And I can
Hayden.
assure you, I will still be in large amounts of pain.
And the
you
bottle
guys,
says-
Can you guys look for a...
You know what?
Hey.
I'll pour and then I'll read the things on the bottle.
What was that? What was that?
Look for a remote to control the AC.
That sounds good. in the
That's
mic.
why I chose the one with the cork instead of doing Johnny Walker Red Label with the
What
twist
does it?
top.
What's it look like?
It's like a flat white thing.
It's just enough
Holy.
for a sip. I know that more John is a bitch and he doesn't like whiskey.
Yeah, whiskey is horrendous. Make it y'all's mission,
we're gonna teach him how to try whiskey because apparently he does not know.
Pass to Brandon.
You guys could make it your mission to where you guys just bring whiskey on the
I
podcast
do
whenever
not
we do
care.
alcohol reviews. Make it your mission to bring some whiskey, and then eventually there's gonna be a time where I'm just gonna like one. I know I am.
Sedilio. All right, everyone's got their glasses. Everyone can take sips while I read the bottle.
Okay, since you're gonna teach more John how to drink, can you teach me how to
How to
Part-
read.
partake in whiskey
I can teach you how to get
So
bitches.
it's in a rocks glass, which is hypothetically not like, we don't need to be snobby about it.
Yeah.
You can try to aerate that shit by swirling it around and then maybe in your mouth a little bit. Don't spit it out on yourself. Or you just sip it like a man.
So, Oscar, I couldn't help but notice the last episode
I'm going to read the bottle.
when we told you.
Going
Yeah,
to-
go ahead.
All right. Basil Hayden, small batch. Kentucky straight bourbon whiskey. Artfully aged by the James B. Wait, that's small text. James B. Beam Distilling Company. Distilled and bottled in Claremont, Frankfort, Kentucky, USA. So, bona fide Kentucky bourbon. And nothing much else on the bottle. There's a little tag there about the distillery, but I'm not going to read all that. It says finished dried fruit. But yeah, so it's Kentucky bourbon, straight.
That it is. And let me go and grab some, what was it called?
I don't know. You have to elaborate.
So it's mid-range
Basil
bourbon.
Hayden.
It's somewhere around $35 if I remember correct. Something like that, right, Brandon? Since you purchased this bottle.
Yeah, let me go and pull some information.
The mid-range, somewhere around the same range as like Woodford or Maker's Mark or something that's, easily affordable and easily accessible.
$45 according to the official
45?
website.
All right, so a little bit more
I
expensive.
believe I picked this up at Costco for $40. So it is available at Costco for $40. Yeah, so Basil Hayden, it is a Kentucky straight bourbon. So you'll definitely note this is compared to the Johnny Walker Red Label, any of the scotches over there, it's gonna be completely different. It's a completely different style of whiskey. But Oscar, I couldn't help but notice last episode when we told you to sip it, your
He
instinct
shot it,
was
yeah.
to slowly shoot it, whereby you just slowly poured the whole thing into your mouth. We want you to take a little bit into your mouth,
Yes.
stop,
Mm-hmm.
taste it, and tell us what you think.
It's gonna be like, it tastes like paint thinner.
Okay? That's the whole the point. Whiskey, yeah, you can shoot it like Jack Daniels. Sure, go ahead and shoot it. But for the whole point of whiskey is you can really truly appreciate the whiskey and what it is, right?
I get what they mean by the dried fruit notes, but to me, it's still, the same bourbon, same. You can taste the corn mash flavor. You can taste the oakiness, the tannins.
Yeah, I mean, is this better than Heritage?
It's nothing crazy.
Would you say this is better than Heritage?
Probably.
Yeah, I'd say. Let me say.
Yeah, you just.
The Heritage was
Dip-
honestly
dip it.
nothing special.
I'm dreading this. Hold on.
I mean, I'm not.
So
Like-
You've got a Kona and
Yeah, we have
coffee next to you.
super
and your vape.
super light flavor.
Yeah.
It's a very light flavor whiskey,
Yeah.
light flavor bourbon. There's none there. I can't
If-
really tell any of those
if you
harsh
don't,
notes.
If you don't, just take a sip, and if you don't like it, pour it into your
Yeah.
coffee, and then you have
Yeah.
basically what's an Irish
Yeah.
coffee, but with a bourbon instead of an Irish
Yeah.
whiskey.
I hate the smell of whiskey.
I mean, it's not my favorite, but it is something I'm getting accustomed to.
I'm going to. I'm gonna pinch my nose like a bitch and then sip it. Okay.
Yeah.
Just sip it. You're
Just
not going to
fucking sip
taste
it,
it,
dude.
then.
So take a small amount in your mouth.
Okay.
If you shoot whiskey, it's gonna punish you.
Yeah.
It is gonna punish
What's
you.
the proof on this? Hold on.
Yeah.
It's should be 40%.
Yeah.
Yeah, 40%. So it's not even a crazy.
Not a high proof
Amount.
whiskey.
All right.
Yeah.
Down the hatch, eh?
It shouldn't burn you at all.
Yeah.
No,
Sláinte,
down the
don't-
hatch.
don't
Just
down the
sip
hatch.
It, dude.
Just sip it.
That's what I was
Sip
gonna
it.
do. I
Sip
said
it.
down
No.
the hatch.
And you have to
as like
plug
a
says
phrase.
down the
You have to
hatch.
plug your nose to sip it.
I
He
don't
says
want it. I
down
don't want
the
to
hatch.
smell it.
Take the smallest amount where you can take some flavor.
That's what I'm trying to do. I just
Okay,
don't want
do
to
it.
smell
I
it.
will. Just go ahead.
Yeah. Okay.
Do what
okay.
you need to
Wait,
do to just take a small amount. Do not shoot the whole thing.
What's wrong with
Yeah.
the smell?
Okay,
if-
Here, watch this.
if the whole thing,
Sick
if the whole,
bastards.
I will tell you this: if the whole thing is out
Actually, it
of
does
your
have a good
glass,
nose
you
on
have
it.
failed.
Yeah.
It
Okay?
smells good.
Huh?
No,
if there
it
is no
actually does smell
whiskey,
good. It-
hang on. If there is no whiskey at the end of your quote unquote sip, you have failed. Okay,
Okay.
try it.
Are you okay? I told him to smell it, and he died.
No. So
A tiny sip.
no.
Put
My
it back
God.
down. Okay, let it go over your mouth. Okay.
So we brought it up earlier.
Now,
that-
what do you
What
taste?
does it? What does it taste like to you?
that- oh,
What do you
okay.
taste?
Tastes like shit.
No, like descriptive, right? What kind of shit?
Okay.
Shit
what,
from
what
where?
Are, what are the things
From
that you're not
who?
liking? What would you equate them to?
Okay. So I'm tasting. If I wanted
You ever
to compare,
suck on a popsicle stick?
You ever
Hang on, Walker.
Oh God. Oh, fuck. You ever go onto Google, type in wayfair.com and go to the rustic section of Wayfair to look at the rustic
Please
furniture?
do not buy
Right,
children.
Okay.
This is what it tastes like. And have you ever seen termites feast on a log?
No.
Yeah.
Okay.
This is the feces that the termites make after eating the
That's
log.
interesting.
Okay.
Interesting note of oak flavor.
So also
That's what it is. Oh,
it has this burning sensation.
Yes.
That's the equivalency of being thrown into a gas chamber and then walking
Okay.
out, swallowing it
So
all.
I don't.
Interesting.
It may be because I'm an alcoholic, but I don't get any burn from this. I do
Um,
get the oakiness.
so
The oak, I taste.
I do.
The-
So
With
I
all
do
due
get
respect, like in
bit
all
of the
seriousness,
burniness.
I definitely taste the oak
So
that you guys are
a lot of
talking
the
about.
flavor from whiskey actually comes from the fact that it was for several years in an oak barrel
So
Yeah.
I can taste the
or a
oak.
sugar
Let me,
maple barrel. I forget what
this
bourbon
has to
in.
be aged at least in a new oak barrel for at least, I believe, a year. Basil Hayden bourbon. Does it
You
say
want me
on
to
the-
drink it?
on the bottle?
I don't want it.
All right. I'm gonna drink.
I at least accomplished.
I'm
the
gonna drink
task.
his whiskey. You know what? We're proud of you for
I definitely taste
analyzing
the oak.
what you taste.
I tasted the oak.
Well, I want you guys to
think
guess.
the,
Oscar,
like the
Oscar,
toasted
Oscar.
corn flavor really
Oscar,
comes through strong in
you-
this
No.
that you get with most.
you
bourbon.
drink more
Yeah, hang on.
than
Hang
I
on,
do.
hang on.
Ready?
All right. The
Ready
only
for
time
this?
I drink
More, John. Look at me.
is when
Ready?
I'm out here.
Hang on.
And
Go ahead.
You see, that's how he drinks. Like, I'm a social drinker. The only time I drink is when I hang out. When I'm invited somewhere and I'm offered a drink, everything that's poured every session here is new to me.
Yeah.
If I can handle this,
He's calling you a bitch.
Well,
Yeah, a lot of
honestly,
words.
no.
you're a bitch.
Because
I don't
here's
care.
the thing. Here's the thing. The best whiskey is a whiskey you like to drink. If you don't like any whiskeys, that's completely fine.
Yeah.
No, if you don't like
it's
any
just
whiskey,
if-
you're a bitch.
If you want to bring shit that you like, do so.
Yeah.
I want you guys to tell me how long. So, by the way, if you guys don't know, Basil Hayden is literally from the same company that makes Jim Beam. How long
I
do you
just
think
read
that
that.
this is aged?
I don't know. It's probably like a couple years, maybe up to 5.
10.
I don't think it's a
Wait,
10.
whiskey.
It's a 10-year.
Yeah.
It is.
This is a 10-year whiskey. I don't know how they're able to sell a 10-year at this price point of $45 is what their website says.
Like, is 10-year like a high quality thing?
I mean, I'm looking at
Usually, the more it's aged, the more expensive it is because you
Ah.
lose water and you lose alcohol over time.
oh.
I mean,
So
I'm looking at the
you-
same bottle.
So you start out with more, right?
Uh-huh.
More volume,
However,
And-
that might be a little bit
and then
inaccurate.
as it gets older, there's the flavors develop more, but also you have a smaller amount. So just economies of scale. It has to be worth less
Oh,
or
okay.
more.
Okay, cool. Yeah, because I'm not a big connoisseur of alcohol.
It doesn't say. It says small batch. I don't think it says anything about how long
So-
it's aged.
If you guys wanted to
which usually means it's not
It's
aged very
actually
long.
interesting that how this would not even say so. So it might be a different bottle that I figured the 10 age.
There's probably a 10-year bottle.
I think this guy here is literally just the minimum standard that bourbons have to be aged in.
This is probably at least 2 years.
Yeah, I'd imagine so. If you guys want to know the difference between the bourbon here, rye and stuff like that, the wheat is not malted.
Excuse me.
It is
This should
not
be mostly
germinated.
corn.
Yeah, and that's your difference between like the American style bourbons and rye and stuff like that. Whereas a Scottish whiskey, these
It's barley.
are like barley and they're let to malt, which
Mhm.
means sort of sprout a little bit, and then they're killed off in smoke and peat and stuff like that.
Yeah.
You need a really smoky flavor with those things. I think we have a Shildag, a Glenfiddich, and a Lagavulin
Yeah.
up there on the shelf. Right
Like
there.
I'm definitely picking up that smoky oak.
But
like
you get that still with the bourbons and the ryes because they're in
yeah.
a freshly charred oak
Yeah.
barrel.
Yeah.
Whereas these guys, the grain themselves
yeah.
is smoked and
Mhm.
the germ is killed off and put into a barrel as well.
I have noticed that on my 10 here.
So I think we have like a Shildag. What was the Shildag? I think it was a 16. No, the Lagavulin 16.
The Lagavulin's a 16-year whiskey.
I think we have a Glenfiddich 12.
I think
or
you like
14.
chugged a glass of it a couple episodes ago.
And then we have a Shildag 14, I think. Both of those are very good. All of
The
those are very
Shildag
good.
wasn't expensive, so I'd be surprised if it was aged that long.
Very good stuff. Anyway, moving on.
And that was the bottle that I got you as a thanks for taking pictures of my wedding.
Yeah. Holy shit, gents. I tell you what. There is just some shit that we cannot sort of stand for. And the liberals really sort of, they are the chief of gaslighting.
Yes.
They are the ones that tell you, no, it's not happening. This is just, the far right extremists that are just, pulling the alarm on something that's not even a problem. It's not even happening. It's just all make believe. I'm going to play for you a audio clip of effectively exactly what we're talking about. This is a TV show. It's kind of, my level of care with this was that it was awfully grotesque and it's just blatancy of being gross and disgusting. But it's a kids show that's advertised to kids and openly available on Netflix. It's just gross. How about you guys take a listen in and let me know what you guys think.
Are you ready for your big moment? Almost. There's something I need to tell you. Really? But it's time to start. I know, but this can't wait any longer. If I'm going to lead the herd, I want to do it as myself. After all, you always say to lead with your heart, right? Well, my heart says that the way I feel most myself is to go by the name Fred. That's because I'm non-binary, and Fred is the name that fits me best. And I also use they and them, because calling me a she or a he doesn't feel right to me. Oh, I didn't know that. No wonder you've been struggling. How could you lead the herd without being yourself? Oh, I'm sorry I used the wrong name and pronouns. Thank you for showing me your heart. That's how I know you'll be the greatest stampede leader, my sweet, tough.
We're going to get copyright.
You get the
strike for
idea.
that.
Yeah.
Honestly, I couldn't care less because if this gets taken down, it'll be available.
It's technically fair use.
It is fair use because
Use.
because we are
Again,
using it
We are all drunk.
in a capacity to talk about it and educate people.
What show is this?
This is Ridley Jones on Netflix.
Netflix, not the best.
It's sort of like a new gen, obviously, sort of
yeah, no.
show.
You
It's
said
honestly,
Ridley Jones.
It sounds stereotypically bad.
it's
Like,
it's
for a kid's
one of
show,
those
like, just
things
very
where you can
stereotypical.
tell that they just rammed it into the storyline
Yeah.
just so blatantly. This is the shit that conservatives are talking about. Producers shoving this shit down kids' throat And this is the seed, folks.
No.
This is if you
No.
let your kids watch the show, this is the seed that develops them into being the entity that we see sitting in restaurants on TikTok on a live stream waiting to get misgendered, okay? Don't let your kids just watch anything, okay? Don't let them do it.
No.
Watch their shit and be aware, okay?
Yeah.
And if you are supportive of this kind of content and you would want them to, if your first instinct after hearing this podcast is to go, thanks for listening to the podcast, I guess. But if your first instinct is to go like, oh, I gotta go find the show on Netflix, how is child abuse going? That must be neat. Yeah, stop it. Get some fucking help. Stop abusing your fucking children and making them confused about shit that's quite simple. Do not feed into mental illness when it's not necessary. Ridiculous. What are you guys' thoughts on that? That's probably like the most blatant thing. I know we've talked about it quite often on the show of like talking about these examples. We never actually provided an example of this content. By the way,
I think
that was a cow.
it's pretty gross
A cow
how
was
some
saying
people
that.
are
Hang on.
constantly searching for, they need the validation of children.
It's bonkers.
Kids don't even know what the fuck that is. Like they don't even know what the word fucking pronoun means.
The way I
Like-
view it is,
Just-
I've already explained this multiple times, in a sense of liberalism, right? There's nothing wrong with your, having different pronouns or classifying yourself in a different way, as long as you're open with yourself and you're free to be who you are. However, the way I view things is this youth should not be exposed to that kind of atmosphere until they are ready themselves to be exposed to it. They don't know what any of this stuff means. This is it. I just looked at a photo of this show and what it is, and it's literally like your basic Coco Melon. Like kids who are like ages 4 through 6 are watching this. show.
And this will give you a sort of idea of where we line up on the political aisle on the show. I used to have the same sentiment. I used to say, and this is, you can hear this on the record of the show, of me saying like, I don't care what adults do behind closed doors.
Yeah.
But looking at what's happening in the world, I realize now that it just needs to be a solid yes or a no. And for me, it's a no. I cannot stand here and say that, no. So long as you're 18 and up, it's okay to say all these ultimately damaging things about yourself, because the statistics remain the same. Is regardless of whether or not you're quote unquote affirmed, people are still damned to a 42% suicide rate, right? In the transgender community. And that's not because of oppression, because arguably they're the most invulnerable minority in the world, in America at least, right? Because, they can complain to a manager, and likely either two things will happen. Either A, the offender will either get a massive reprimand, or B, they'll just get straight up fired for misgendering some person because they have the loudest voice out here, because the democratic and establishment media have made society believe that everyone's opinions, specifically, and I know it's kind of ironic having a podcast and everything, but the whole idea is that a person's objective opinion about who they think they are,
Subjective.
a subjective idea of who they think they are, because they quote unquote feel a certain way, trumps everybody else's reality. Not only reality, but also scientific reality, is fucking crazy. And I wish I had a clip of Neil deGrasse Tyson defending this point, because this is where we're at in society, where we have literal scientists backing this absolute craziness because they know they get social credit points, because they know that if I don't agree with this, my career is over. And the great thing about having a podcast like this is because untouchable.
Yeah. And
You cannot, viewers cannot do anything to stop this show from happening. They cannot do anything from stopping the website from being a thing.
you know what it is? It's some fucking 30-year-old.
Well, if they took down Kiwi Farms, they can take down thewholemag.com. But
I heard about
They
that.
try.
No, but the reality is that like these are just
Are you gonna
they're a
host
group
it
of adults
on your home machine.
like at an office trying to address things to like those with like a childlike mindset,
It's sick.
and you could see the attempt of how they try to dumb it down for kids, and
It is a blatant attempt to indoctrinate children
So-
into the sick ideology.
The way
Yeah,
the
but-
way I see it is plain and simple.
Yeah.
I view it in a philosophical sense, in a behavioral sense, and a psychological sense, right? I believe anyone is free to be who they are, and I believe anyone can say who they are, what they are, how they feel they are. There's nothing wrong with that as long as you bleed red, right? However, when it comes down to children, when it comes
how I
down
see
to
it, how I
children,
see it
like
is
middle
it's
school,
like manipulation. It's just they're getting in there. They're just
Yeah,
rewiring.
It's all happy dory. It's
Yeah.
all great until we
No.
mention that if you
No.
fall victim to this ideology, you're gonna have a discussion with your doctor about chopping off your penis or your breasts in order to fulfill this
And, like,
this
the age-
perversion of yourself.
The age rate for this is like what 4 to 6, 6 to 12, or something.
And not to mention,
Like,
if we look at the statistics of children who are not indulged in this ideology,
Yeah,
who are not backed by governments, who will gladly take away children from parents who are defending their children from this perversion.
Yeah.
A vast majority of the children get out of it. They're just like, yeah, that was just stupid. Sorry,
Yeah.
I was a kid. I was,
yeah.
Impressionable.
And it's not just
I
just
was
kids.
foolish.
Like,
Oh yeah, we have a bunch of adults who
Exactly.
are like, I
They're-
regret going through transition surgery.
Exactly. And there's just no point. There's
Yeah.
no point in any of it. Like,
Talking about shit that doesn't get on the news, right?
it's not just that it doesn't get on the news. It's just that
Talked about in general.
talked about in general. Yeah.
It's like we don't want to. No. We have to ignore the whole population, which is unironically
Like, why?
quite a big significant of the
You know?
transgender community.
Yeah.
Who regret going through transition surgeries.
Yeah.
We have to focus on the pie in the sky, rainbow clouds. Everything is so perfect now that I can domineer over people and make people lose their jobs because
And just
they
recently,
misgender
I
me.
found out, like, I read, I forgot where I read this from, but there's actually reports of quote unquote child abuse for those who are refusing hormone blockers, gender transition surgeries. That's considered child abuse now.
You're absolutely right. One of the worst countries in the world right now, drumroll please, the UK.
Yeah.
The UK is a prime example of how to not run the country. Run a country.
Yeah.
Crime rate, ridiculous. Taxes out the ass.
Yeah.
For what? To show
And not
for
even
what?
just taxes. They have a private corporation in London that charges you thousands of dollars just for driving to work.
They literally tax their citizens out the ass, and they can't even maintain basic infrastructure like police. They don't respond to robberies or burglaries or muggings because, sorry, we don't have anybody available to send to you.
They
I mean,
will,
there's
they
certain
will steal your forks, though.
Yeah.
You can't have those.
Can't have those. You have to have a license for those.
Yeah.
It's all ridiculous.
It's not that-
all asinine.
And in the U.S., it's not like it's a growing conflict, like crime rate, like obviously in the border, crime rate, kidnappings, murder, like drug trade, it's skyrocketing. Like, realistically, it's getting bad.
I'm insinuating that as youth, right?
Yeah.
They're very impressionable, right? At the end of the day, if I'm like a young me and I see a guy smoking weed, I'll be like, oh, that's cool. How do I get into that inner circle?
Nah,
Oh,
I never
let me
got into
smoke
it.
weed with them.
Yeah,
you know?
that's part of it. Part of it's also probably there's a weird sexual attraction to children, which is why they have to constantly read to them in
Yeah, like
libraries.
drag
there's,
queen story hour.
Oh my
There's like
God.
concepts of,
The-
the normal stereotype, like, oh, girl got into a really bad breakup, she dyes her hair fucking blue, and questions her sexuality too. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's silly.
The-
I know I'm mentioning that.
these are the people that deserve a steel bat to their fucking kneecaps.
Whoa,
We're-
let's
I'm
not
not-
go
we
that
have,
far.
No, we talked about this on the previous
Not-
on a
Okay.
show like
That's just my
months and
that's
months
just my
ago.
take. That's my take.
We talked about this.
Who deserves a bat specifically?
Hang on.
You do.
Pedophiles?
We talked
Yes.
about this
Okay,
on
pedophiles,
yeah.
episode ages ago of when the whole like all these stories of drag drag queen story hours, quote unquote, came out. And not only that, but these just drag shows in general at bars where you have to be 21 and up. But just by virtue of a drag show going on, now magically kids are able to be there.
Yeah.
We talked about this, and it came up. This was when Hayes was still in the show, and I said at least, I was like, one, yeah, we should obviously look at the fucking parents, because that's just abhorrent.
Why? What? Like why?
But also, we should be
abhorrent.
looking at the quote unquote drag queens who feel the need and desire to be performing in front of children. There's a bunch of clips of these drag queens wearing false breasts, jiggling them around in front of children
in schools
below the age of 7.
It's happening in schools even.
It's okay. First off, if I was present for a day, any fucking principal who would be even sort of convinced that they could even host such an event at their school would be immediately put on some sort of FBI watch list, if not straight up arrested.
Yeah.
How is this a confusing concept for the vast majority of Americans? Like it's split 50-50. It's very cut and clear. It's like, and the thing is like, oh well, you hear this argument all the time from the left. Is like, oh well, drag queens aren't sexual. And I go, okay, well, how about you tell that to the cross-dresser who is shaking their false tits in the face of a man? How about you explain that? There hasn't been a single drag queen, quote unquote. I say, let me clarify for credibility's sake. 90% of videos that I've seen, shamefully, of drag queens in their drag getup, I would not say they're wearing ball gowns or graceful attire.
No.
They're in this offensively, mocked up sort of getup of a woman.
Yeah.
That's one thing. One aspect of it is
it's
this sort of
obviously
caricaturization of a woman.
It's a mockery to women.
It's a mockery of women.
It's not
and they're
supported by
always
women.
wearing these scantily clad outfits.
No.
And gyrating and doing all these sexually depraved acts.
Yeah.
And they're saying it's not sexual. It's like I have an IQ above room temperature. It's not going to be that easy for you to tell me it's not sexual.
Yeah.
Nice try, bucko.
It doesn't take a fucking like just some person off the streets. Like they know better than just someone who's shaking themselves in front of kids, in front of 4-year-olds, in front of 6-year-olds, in front of parents who.
And this goes back to what you said previously. It's like you are all for the defense of children. It's like you don't think that is a drag show in a bar is a good place for children below the age of 18.
Pointless.
The
It's
way
fucking
I
pointless.
see it, and this is a point I've been trying to make, and it's very hard to find a reasonable solution for all this, in my personal opinion.
I mean, before you pause that statement, is the drag queen's ability to be whoever they want to be dependent on the ability of a 5-year-old to be present in their vicinity?
No.
There you go. I agree with that.
Yeah.
I don't think that a drag queen needs to have a 5-year-old present in order to do what they want to do. I was fine with drag. I have no problem with drag queens or cross-dressers until they started enticing schools and children to come to their shows.
Yeah.
I was fine. Whatever. Fine. Cool. Whatever. It's in a bar, 21 and up. You're obviously a fucking adult. Do what you want to do. But then schools were like, no, we have to have drag queen story hour.
We have to be inclusive.
What the actual flying fuck?
Yeah. No,
Like I said,
not gonna fly, but
Crazy.
it's so hard to really find a solution to all this because at the end of the day, it's the same concept. of,
No, states have already found it.
Like you have skinny
Mhm.
jeans on, and it's like, oh, this is the new fad. I genuinely think, and
States
this is
have found
my
a solution,
personal
Oscar.
opinion, whenever we talk about sexuality, gendering, and we talk about even drag queen story hours, we're talking about people who are influenced by media, people who are influenced by society currently,
yeah.
and they find it impressionable, and they think it's cool or it's a fad, and it enables them to feel special or different. And this is just my personal
No, yeah.
opinion.
I
Like
got you.
this is how kids are psychologically, right? I was the same way. Like
what age bracket are you talking about?
I'm talking about any age. If you're
Any
still in
age.
high school, middle school,
Okay.
elementary school, this
Elementary,
applies
okay.
to everyone.
You're talking about just like mass
I don't
media.
care how
Here-
precocious you are as a child.
Right.
I was that way.
That-
Like if
no,
I
that's
saw,
a very good descriptor.
so if I
Yeah.
call, like if I see like some emo, because I was emo as a kid. You
Yeah,
know,
me
I
too.
saw like the outfits. I was like, you know what, this looks cool as shit. I'm gonna dress up this way.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with that, right?
Yeah.
You can dress however you please, obviously according to school dress code.
For sure.
But the way I see it is that is a perfect representation of I'm looking at something that is what's the
And
word?
That you
Applauded
find
by
interesting.
society or society deems is
You're pointing out another
point.
point that conservatives
appropriate.
have is that, hey folks, hey, I'm a father of 2, and guess what? My children are not going to have social media. They're not going to have an
Yes.
Instagram, Snapchat. You insert it, you name it. They're not going to have that shit until they're 17 or 18.
Yes.
I already have YouTube Kids. It's too late.
It's just
Well,
my
that is it, and that's highly regulated.
Yeah, but you
I
control-
can choose what they want to see.
exactly. Yeah.
Because Google, i.e. YouTube, as a proxy, had gotten in trouble for that shit. Why? Because I've seen it with my own family members. You are subjected to this whole thing. We were all growing up in the age where depression was a fad. Every time you look on social media, it was talking and joking about depression.